Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Not Your Average Josh back here for another movie review, and today I'm here to review the new Magic Mike movie, if you can believe it, Magic Mike's Last Dance. Now, I will say before I even get into anything here, I am obviously not the target audience for this movie, so obviously coming into this, you'll know that I am not going to probably have as favorable as a viewpoint on this movie as, most women will. I will say this is definitely a movie that's targeted specifically for women. I will say I also did not see the first two Magic Mike movies. I just saw this trailer and I honestly wasn't going to see this movie at all. But after seeing the trailer, it seemed like there was actually a fairly good story to be had with this movie, I will say. I'm coming in as a newbie with this franchise, did not see the first two. Just going to be commenting on this movie, and I'd love to hear in the comments if there's anybody watching this that anything I say that maybe might help with more information on the first two movies. That would be very much appreciated. And with that, I will say, obviously, leave a comment, leave a like. If this is your first time watching any of my videos, you can hit that subscribe button. That's very much appreciated. You can follow me on TikTok. You can add me on Snapchat, where I'll post content similar to this. But for the most part, my content will be here on this YouTube channel, Not Your Average Josh. So I appreciate all the support I do get, but let's get into this review of Magic Mike's Last Dance. This movie was directed by Steven Soderbergh and written by Reed Carolyn, and starring Channing Tatum coming back again as Mike Lane and Salma Hayek as Maxandra Mendoza. Mike takes to the stage again following a business deal that went bust, leaving him broke and taking bartender gigs in Florida. Mike, played by Channing Tatum, heads to London with a wealthy socialite who lures him with an offer he can't refuse, and that socialite is Salma Hayek's character, Maxandra. I am pretty in the middle with this movie. There is, I think, a good story here at times, but honestly, looking at it just from my personal view, this movie is very silly. And its premise, if you really look at it, you have, again, I did not see the first two movies, so, I'm coming at it completely fresh with Channing Tatum's character, Mike. And the movie does start out with him working in Florida as a bartender, as said in the description. And he just happens to be at this event in or on Salma Hayek's property by her house in Florida. And it turns out she's this rich, as I said, socialite who is married to this very wealthy man, and they're in the middle of divorce. And she ends up running into Channing Tatum there and figuring out that he has some pretty interesting dance moves, wouldn't you know? And I do know enough about the franchise to know there was going to be some stripping in this movie. And, obviously that's just generally not going to appeal to me. But I will say you get this scene where Channing Tatum does a $6,000 dance for Salma Hayek, and she is so enthralled by this. You go the extra length here to really show how great this dance was. I mean, they literally filmed this like 5 to 10 minute, just very intense lap dance, the best lap dance you could ever imagine, and do end up, of course, having sex. And Salma Hayek is just so taken by this that she just happens to invite Channing Tatum's character, Mike, to London with her, just in a whimsy, just after this one dance. She knows nothing else about this guy except that he's a good dancer. And, there's also other reasons. It's not just that he's a good dancer and she just wants him around. You do find out there's other elements of why she's bringing him to London. But she literally just invites him to London for a month for $60,000. And you can tell she's obviously going through a lot with this divorce. And you start to figure that out more as the movie goes on. This movie does play, in a way, as half a rom-com and half a just typical kind of drama about getting this dance school and this particular performance done. And, a lot of those elements I do appreciate very much, honestly. There's a lot of good moments to be had with this movie. Channing Tatum was very good in this movie, his acting. Salma Hayek was also very good in this movie. They had a good chemistry together. I did really believe, as the movie was going on, that they were developing this care for each other. But, when the movie just starts out with this silly premise of, so she literally just has the best lap dance ever, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta invite you." And I get it, once you see this dance that Channing Tatum does for Salma Hayek's character Maxandra, it is, you understand why she did it, but also it's like it is just kind of a silly premise. And then there was something that did put me off, especially at first when you first revealed it. Her husband owns this theater, the Radigan, in London. They're going through this divorce. I guess with what's going on with it, she ends up having partial or full ownership of this theater. And there's already a play going on. There's a director, there's performers, they're rehearsing a play that's going to come out. And she just comes in one day and says, "No, we're not going to do it this way. All you trained actors, get out of here. We're actually just going to turn this into a strip show." There's basically a show that's going to be presented as a play at the beginning in a way, but then just turn into a big strip show. And there was just something as a a guy who loves theater, who was in theater in high school, there's some that's a little off-putting by that, where there's really no reason behind it. It's not as if this theater was going under. There was no one showing up to the performances. The director clearly says, we have people selling out every night. Every night we have performances here. And it just felt very selfish, and I just could not really like Salma Hayek's character, Mixandra, at first. There was something so selfish about, she's literally just doing this for herself so she could put on the show that she wants to put on. Her character tries to spin it in a way where, oh, we just got to bring back the freeness to life. She also tries to bring in how, females need to feel more free. Why do we have to, there's these subtle little hints of why do women have to choose between the rich asshole guy or the poor good-hearted guy? And you have these little themes and kind of messages thrown in throughout this movie, which I thought was a little out of place. It just felt very kind of shoehorned in. Didn't feel necessarily like it was natural. And I don't know, again, if you just watch it as the movie is and you just kind of let it be silly, let it be what it is, which this movie is overall, really. The story elements, there are a lot of ridiculous things you can see within it. And I can see why a lot of people are going to like this movie, particularly women. It is very geared towards them. But again, just some of those silly things, and then the fact that she just overtook the theater and just started running this theater with Channing Tatum, who literally the whole time, he's really uncomfortable by the situation. He plays that part really good of being a natural, genuine guy who, yeah, he's a male stripper, but the fact that she just, after they met, one night of great sex and a lap dance, that she's going to have him not only come with her to help start to run this whole theater and run a whole new play of just basically a stripper show, but also have Channing Tatum's character Mike run the thing, and he's never run any theater. And you realize as it's going on, and you're like, this is just going to be one big stripper show. They kind of make it at first seem like, oh, we're actually going to do a real performance where it's dancing, and we're going to get real professional dancers, not strippers, but they end up turning the professional dancers into strippers, basically teaching them stripper moves, and the movie basically ends on this one huge stripper show. Of course, you have throughout, again, half of this movie is a rom-com. There's some funny moments with Mike and Mixandra. They do a good job in this movie of, you believe that they have a connection. In the end, just some of the elements. Obviously, this is a movie in general that I'm just not, is not my cup of tea, I guess to say, so I most likely won't be going back to it. And there are some good elements in here. The chemistry between Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek, I think, is the best thing about this movie. And I will say, even though obviously it doesn't interest me, but the dance moves are really good in this movie. The ending, the performances are all really well done. Like the dancing, all the dancers that are involved in this movie did a really good job with the choreography. And this movie was pretty well shot, I will say. Like, it wasn't something we were going to be blown away, obviously, the type of movie it is, but I did like the way it was shot. So, on an objective level, there is some elements to like about this movie, but overall, again, it's just not my cup of tea. I love all type of movies. There's something good to pull out of all different kinds of movies, even movies that you're probably not going to be predisposed to like. I still like seeing Channing Tatum as well. I've always thought he was a good actor. From way back when he was doing the romantic movies, like Nicholas Sparks movies. You had The Vow, and then Dear John he did as well. I thought he was actually really good in those movies before people were really singing his praises more, when, of course, with 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, and White House Down, I also really like as well. So it's great to see him, and Salma Hayek I really like as well. It was kind of just one of those movies that, it's coming out perfect time of the year, Valentine's Day. I'm sure this whole week there's going to be plenty of women bringing their guys to this movie. I will say, the end of the movie, there is this woman, all right? And I didn't get her name. I'm sure it's listed on the cast. She does this dance with Channing Tatum, and I will say, for all the dudes you got watching this movie, of dudes stripping, there really isn't that much. This movie is very much following a storyline. It's not like it veers off and just becomes a stripper movie completely. All the male dudes you guys see dancing with their shirts off and stuff. The ending, this woman, I'm telling you, the woman that is dancing with Channing Tatum is one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen, and she has probably the best moves I've ever seen. It is on a movie, but I'm just saying, you guys got something to look for, okay? If you're having to go see this, I mean, God, okay? That's all I gotta say. God, alright?
I like it a lot.
I would not recommend it overall. I am more in the middle on this. I can't just give a full non-recommendation because I don't think it was a bad movie, but also it's just not my cup of tea, so I'm not going to give it a full recommendation either. I'm definitely more in the middle on this. I'm going to give Magic Mike's Last Dance a 5.5 out of 10. In terms of the filmmaking aspects, there's really not a lot of negatives to be had. It's really just within the overall story and my personal preferences, and then just some character choices that really takes it out for me with this movie, along with, this movie really just being geared towards women. I mean, it's just a fact. You know, be like if they made a movie with women strippers, you know what I mean? And in this similar type of way, it would generally be geared towards men, but also would have some elements that are for women as well. I think this movie does that in its own way as well. Hit that like button, leave a comment. Did you love this movie? Have you seen it yet? Do you not care to see this movie? Are you one of those guys who your girl's going to drag you out to see it? Are you one of those girls who's going to drag your guy out to see it? If this is your first time watching any of my videos, hit that subscribe button. It's very much appreciated. You can follow me on TikTok. You can add me on Snapchat, where I will post content similar to this. But for the most part, my content will be here on this YouTube channel, Not Your Average Josh. I'll be looking for more videos very soon, and I will talk to you guys later.